please give Olga all of your attention and I'll give applause.
So today I'm going to talk to you about a topic which is pretty much has been going on with these speeches. It's about healthy eating, basically. Most of us have heard the cliche, you are what you eat, and it's very true. And people don't realize that now. It's like we think that whatever we eat, pizza or whatever it is, it has no effect on us because it's food. Food is food. But that's definitely not the case. And specifically, I'm going to talk to you about nutritional genomics, which is a very new science which studies the correlation between food and health. So I'm a little sick, so bear with me today. So basically, in order for it's a common opinion among people in the health professions that in order to prevent the rates of the most prevalent chronic diseases such as obesity and type 2 diabetes specifically, it's very important to emphasize nutrition as a prevention tactic, and which is being overshadowed by a very large percent by the billion-dollar industry of pills. Because I'm sure each and every one of you, in your household, where you have parents and grandparents or whatever, if you open the drawers and the cabinets in the bathroom, you'll find pill bottles and stuff like that. And it's the reason why it's because we are so dependent on medicine and doctors, which is good. I'm not saying that we should just dish antibiotics and just go like holistic or anything. Not at all. But I'm saying that it's very important to stop being so reliant on it. And I'm hoping today to persuade you guys and myself as well to eat healthier, because it's not only important just to be thin or skinny, and I'm not even talking about that today. I'm talking about how it's important for food, for it not to be a comfort, and for it not to prevent us from being healthy, but to support us, for our goal with being healthy, because that's what it initially was. Because we, before processed foods were invented, we were just eating, fish and berries and greens and stuff like that. And now everything that we eat, from my experience, most of the things I eat are processed in some way, and which is the biggest problem. And so I'm just going to talk now about the nutritional economics specifically. So basically, in general terms, it's an area that studies the relationship between nutrition and health. And as it is stated in the Journal of American Dietetic Association, nutritional economics can be defined as either looking at the effect of dietary factors on the expression of different genes, or the effect of genes on the utilization and metabolism of nutrients. So therefore, it's on a much more in-depth. It's much more in-depth look on nutrition and health, not just like outside how you look, if you're skinny or if you can run a mile without having to catch your breath. So, and the science is in its infancy, and it's not very researched because obviously the heavier focus is on the research on new medicine, because we're becoming immune to old medicine, and there's need to people get more and more variations of those illnesses that are mostly nutrition related. And one of those ways that it can be applied in medicine is that it can the person's specific genetic profile can be determined, can be a background as to how should that person eat in order to prevent type 2 diabetes or even cancer or any other nutritionally related disease, which there are many of them actually. And that could be, I'm not saying that it's too late for all of us to change our diets and become healthy, but it's very important for this, I think, in my personal opinion, for this area of science to be developed, because the future generations, if we can prevent any diseases, type 2 diabetes, even osteoporosis and stuff like that, it would lower the amount of money we spend on hospitals and the whole insurance thing. And therefore, nutritional genomics is generally, as it is used in the health community, not nutritionally related. It's health is in the absence of a disease. But in this case, it looks more as a sense of health, as a sense of well-being, as how you feel, and not because just because you don't have type 2 diabetes or cancer or you're not obese, it doesn't mean that you're healthy. It means if you're leading a lifestyle that's making you very prone to those diseases, therefore then you're not healthy because you're probably not feeling too well. You're probably feeling fatigued and tired, and you might have some skin breakouts and stuff like that. And therefore, nutritional economics it focuses on just not even elongating your life, but it's quality over quantity because. As much as people can say that those gimmicks, say drink this and you're going to live 100 years old. That's definitely not true because all of us have a specific limit. So we can. People usually live until 80 years old or 90 years old, or that limit. You're not going to be 100 and jumping over fences, sorry guys. But the truth is that most of us, I feel like, we want to spend our life not struggling to get up in the morning and to run around and just be out of breath all the time, but the amount of years that we have, we want to be very energetic and not rely on caffeine and soda drinks and stuff like that for energy. And most of the, according to CDC.gov, 50% of all deaths in America come from heart disease, cancer, and stroke. And all of those diseases are actually preventable. Diseases such as diabetes, type 1 diabetes, is obviously not preventable because people are born with it, but it's manageable, managed heavily through nutrition. People who have type 1 diabetes know that it's extremely difficult to live with it, and how important it is to focus on your diet. You have to count your carbs every time you eat in order to inject the right amount of insulin. In case of type 2 diabetes, for example, my grandfather, he has type 2 diabetes, and I know exactly why because he has been raised in a diet of white bread, of sugar, of just all types of processed foods, and lots and lots and lots of meat. And he's not going to stop eating that way because most of the people who are eating that way are going to eat like that for the rest of their lives, especially if you're if you're middle aged and because you're kind of set in your ways. Yeah, even at my age, I'm 21, and I'm still, for example, the way I eat partially healthy. I'm vegetarian, but that's no way that means that I'm very healthy. And I do eat a lot of processed foods. Every the stuff we all eat pizza and just like nutrition bars, which are not really good for you. It's extremely hard for me. It would be extremely hard for me to just stop all of that right now and be completely just transition to a perfect diet according to my genetic profile and everything like that. Therefore, I think that in order for this country to have a different outlook on how to treat and prevent, how to just deal with disease, it shouldn't be a person who's just preaching and because if someone comes up to you and starts talking to you, you just stop eating that, put that pizza down, you're just gonna ask you're just gonna say please go away. And the thing is that I mean that's true, and even if someone tries to preach to me or tries to take food out of my hands and say that you're such a horrible person, you don't know anything, you're eating very badly, it's not going to be pleasant for anyone. And I feel like the way to pretty much expand the science is to just maybe, I don't know how this works honestly, but I just to provide more funding for the research because I think it can be it can change dramatically our lives and lives of if any of you are planning to have children, then obviously by the question asked earlier you do, and I think it's very important that people should understand that in order for you to have less expenses for medical expenses and just have your kid playing around more and just being involved and happy, you should really educate yourself about food and nutrition, and specifically for the person, because you can't just you can't some people can't just live on a diet completely without meat because they have some deficiencies that need to be corrected, or some people can't live without cheese or can't live without that, and it doesn't mean that we have to eliminate all of the things that we like about our diet, but it's just important, I feel like, for us to find out specifically what is important to us. So, and which is a very an aspect about this that is very hard to manage because for it to leak into the public because it's so individual and people like gimmicks, like you drink this juice and you lose weight because a lot of people do those cleanses. And I worked in a bakery, healthy bakery, and for example, a week before spring break, there were just tons of orders for juice. We did a cleanse, a 3-day cleanse, and it was just juices and those little horrible salads and not really flavorful. And obviously, people went back to their diet the day after or something. So, or after they got out of the swimsuit and back into their sweatshirt. So this science, I feel, this area of science is very different and progressive in that way because it focuses on a shift in lifestyle. And I know you all probably heard that, but it's more of just managing. You can do self-help, and you can be more effective even than a bottle of pills. If you prevent the disease, and rather than getting sick and then being very reliant on those pills and doctors and spending endless amounts of money. And for example, although there's not an abundance of research, but I found an example how an advice of a dietitian can be proves to be more successful than just a regular doctor. The study was conducted by researchers of Institute of Human Nutrition, University of Southampton, in 2001. And in conclusion, it was concluded that the advice given by a dietitian versus the advice of a doctor was more successful in lowering cholesterol levels in the group of people in the short term mostly, because the people were obviously it wasn't researched over a lifetime, but I feel like that just gives a little peek into what this can do. And for example, nutrition is important to specifically to prevent cardiovascular disease. For example, if how many of you heard of omega-3 fats and omega-6 fats? Okay, good. And these fats are called essential, so that means our body can produce them independently. And these are very important in the elasticity of blood vessels and just supporting the blood flow and even lowering blood pressure. And another example of an essential vitamin is vitamin C, and it's an antioxidant and which repairs oxidative stress, which is basically if you can just imagine an apple and if it sits out for long enough, it becomes brown, and that's what happens because that's the price we pay for breathing because that's just how oxygen reacts to some surfaces, for and internal organs. It's not. And the more you let it happen, the more it just damages, the more the effects accumulate without if you don't do anything, if you don't get enough fruits and vegetables, and it just becomes a problem. So in conclusion, I would like to say that my personal opinion is that it's very 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 important. It's very hard to distinguish it at this point from many gimmicks, in terms of nutrition. But it's very a solid area of science, and people shouldn't overlook it. And hopefully that I persuade you guys to eat a little better and just take an interest in what is better for you and not dive into a fad diet because I'm sure most of you tried a diet of some sort and it didn't work out, and so you think whatever I'll just eat whatever I want. But it doesn't have to be miserable because once you start eating healthy foods, your taste buds they adapt and they don't just respond to very salty and very sugary foods. So if you adjust a little bit your diet step by step, it can be very